In the ancient traditions of South and Southeast Asia, two snakes above all others have captured the human imagination for thousands of years. Both are cobras. Both rear up and spread a hood when threatened. Both are venomous enough to kill a human adult. And both appear in the same temples, the same mythology, and the same streets where snake charmers have performed for centuries. Yet the king cobra and the Indian cobra are separated by biological differences so profound that placing them in the same genus would be a scientific error. One of them is the longest venomous snake on Earth, a specialist predator that feeds almost exclusively on other snakes, including venomous ones, and raises its head to the height of a standing human when fully erect. The other is one of the most medically significant snakes in the world, responsible for a significant proportion of the tens of thousands of snakebite deaths that occur across South Asia every year. Today, WildForge explores every dimension that separates these two iconic cobras: their evolutionary origins, their physical characteristics, their venom, their behavior, their surprising cognitive complexity, and their very different relationships with the humans who share their world. Despite both being called cobras and both spreading a hood when threatened, the king cobra and the Indian cobra belong to entirely different genera, a fact that reflects a deep and ancient evolutionary separation. The Indian cobra, Naja, belongs to the genus Naja, the true cobras. This is a large and diverse genus containing approximately 40 recognized species distributed across Africa and Asia, making it one of the most species-rich genera of venomous snakes on Earth. The Indian cobra is one of the most medically important members of this genus, being one of the big four venomous snakes responsible for the vast majority of snakebite deaths in the Indian subcontinent, the others being the common krait, Russell's viper, and the saw-scaled viper. The Indian cobra is found throughout the Indian subcontinent, including India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and Nepal, occupying an enormous range of habitats from dense forest to agricultural land and the edges of human settlements. The king cobra, Ophiophagus hanna, belongs to an entirely separate genus, Ophiophagus, of which it is the sole living member. The name Ophiophagus means snake eater in Greek, a direct and accurate reference to the king cobra's most distinctive dietary specialization. Despite its common name and its impressive hood display, the king cobra is not a true cobra in the taxonomic sense. It is not a member of the genus Naja and is only distantly related to the Indian cobra within the broader family Elapidae. Genetic and morphological studies have consistently confirmed that Ophiophagus hanna represents a distinct and ancient evolutionary lineage that diverged from the true cobras millions of years ago. The king cobra is found across a broad range in South and Southeast Asia, from India through Bangladesh, Myanmar, southern China, and throughout the islands of Southeast Asia, including the Philippines and Indonesia. It consistently inhabits dense forest and forest edges, showing a strong preference for areas with water nearby and dense vegetation, providing both cover and the snake prey it depends upon. The physical differences between the king cobra and the Indian cobra are striking once you know what to look for, though from a distance, the hood display of both species creates a superficially similar impression. The king cobra is by far the larger of the two species and holds a record that no other venomous snake on Earth can claim. It is the longest venomous snake in the world. Adult king cobras typically measure between 3 and 4 meters in total length, with large adults regularly exceeding 4 meters and exceptional individuals reliably recorded at over 5 meters. The longest reliably measured wild king cobra was approximately 5.85 meters, an animal of genuinely staggering proportions. Despite this impressive length, the king cobra's body is relatively slender and muscular, not as massively built as a large python, but with a presence that is immediately and viscerally impressive. When a large king cobra rears up into its defensive posture, it can raise the anterior third of its body, potentially more than 1.5 meters, to a height that places its eyes level with those of a standing adult human. This upright posture, combined with the spread hood and the distinctive growling hiss unique to the king cobra, creates one of the most intimidating defensive displays in the animal kingdom. The Indian cobra is a substantially smaller snake. Adults typically measure between 1 and 1.5 meters in total length, with larger individuals occasionally reaching 2 meters, significant in its own right but dramatically smaller than the king cobra. The Indian cobra's body is relatively robust for its length, and like the king cobra, it can raise the anterior portion of its body and spread a broad hood when threatened. The hood of the Indian cobra is proportionally broader and rounder relative to body size than the king cobra's hood, and the Indian cobra bears one of the most distinctive and recognizable markings in the snake world on the dorsal surface of its spread hood, a spectacle-like pattern formed by two circular or oval markings connected by a narrow bridge, giving the appearance of a pair of spectacles or eyeglasses. This spectacle marking, which is present in most but not all Indian cobras, as some individuals show a monocled pattern or no hood marking at all, is one of the most reliable field identification features for the species. The king cobra's hood, by contrast, is narrower and more elongated without a spectacle marking, though it may show chevron-like markings or uniform coloration depending on the individual. In terms of coloration, both species are variable. Indian cobras range from pale yellow to dark brown or black, often with a pale throat and belly. King cobras are typically olive, brown, or black, often with pale yellow or white crossbands visible particularly in younger individuals that may fade with age. This is perhaps the most significant biological difference between the king cobra and the Indian cobra, and it is the characteristic that has shaped the king cobra's entire evolutionary story. The Indian cobra is a generalist predator in the true sense. It takes a wide variety of prey, including rodents, frogs, toads, lizards, birds, and small mammals, the kind of broad dietary flexibility typical of most members of the genus Naja. This dietary generalism is one of the reasons the Indian cobra has been able to colonize such a wide range of habitats, including agricultural and suburban environments, where rodent populations make reliable food sources readily available. The king cobra is a dietary specialist of a most unusual kind. It feeds almost exclusively on other snakes. The genus name Ophiophagus, snake eater, reflects this precisely. King cobras actively hunt and consume a wide variety of snake species within their range, including rat snakes, pythons, and other elapids. In a genuinely striking behavioral adaptation, king cobras will also prey on other venomous snakes, including species whose venom would be dangerous to most predators. This resistance to the venom of other snakes is not complete immunity. King cobras can be affected by venom from some species, but they show a considerably higher tolerance for snake venom than most other predators. This dietary specialization has important ecological consequences. King cobras require large territories with sufficient prey snake populations to sustain them, which is one of the primary reasons they are found almost exclusively in forested habitats and are far less adaptable to human-modified environments than the Indian cobra, a landscape that has lost its snake diversity through habitat destruction and persecution has lost the food source the king cobra depends upon. The king cobra's impressive ability to locate, pursue, and subdue other snakes, including venomous species, requires sophisticated hunting behavior. King cobras actively follow scent trails of snake prey using their vomeronasal system, and they have been observed pursuing prey snakes at considerable speed through dense vegetation, Both the king cobra and the Indian cobra produce neurotoxic venom, venom that primarily acts on the nervous system to cause paralysis. But the two species' venoms differ in important ways that reflect their different evolutionary histories and prey specializations. The Indian cobra's venom is a mixture of postsynaptic neurotoxins, primarily alpha neurotoxins that block the acetylcholine receptors at neuromuscular junctions, preventing nerve signals from reaching muscles and causing progressive paralysis. The venom also contains cytotoxic components that cause local tissue damage and cardiotoxins that affect heart function. The Indian cobra's venom is considerably more toxic by weight than the king cobra's. It has a lower LD50 value, meaning a smaller amount is required to produce a lethal effect in a standard laboratory test. However, the Indian cobra typically injects a relatively modest quantity of venom per bite compared to its maximum yield. What makes the Indian cobra so medically devastating is not primarily its venom potency, but its extraordinary abundance, its tolerance of human-modified habitats, and its tendency to enter homes, agricultural buildings, and sleeping areas where it frequently encounters people. It is estimated that the Indian cobra contributes to tens of thousands of snake bite deaths across South Asia annually, making it one of the deadliest animals on the Indian subcontinent, not because any individual bite is necessarily more dangerous than that of the king cobra, but because encounters between this species and unprotected rural populations occur with tragic frequency. The king cobra's venom is less toxic by weight than the Indian cobra's, but what the king cobra lacks in venom potency, it more than compensates for in volume. A large king cobra can deliver an enormous quantity of venom in a single bite, up to 7 milliliters in documented cases, making it potentially capable of killing an Asian elephant. The venom contains powerful presynaptic neurotoxins, including ohanin and three-finger toxins, that cause rapid neuromuscular blockade, and the sheer volume delivered means that even with its comparatively lower weight-for-weight toxicity, a king cobra bite represents an acute medical emergency of the highest order. Without prompt anti-venom treatment, a king cobra bite can kill an adult human within 30 minutes in severe cases of envenomation. Both the king cobra and the Indian cobra are considerably more behaviorally complex than most venomous snakes, but the king cobra in particular has attracted scientific attention for behavioral traits that are genuinely unusual among reptiles. The Indian cobra is the snake most closely associated with the traditional practice of snake charming. The public performance in which a cobra appears to sway in response to a flute or pungi played by the performer. This behavior is often misunderstood. Snakes are deaf to airborne sound in the conventional sense, and the cobra is actually responding to the movement of the instrument and the performer, not to the music itself. The sway is the cobra tracking what it perceives as a potential threat, maintaining visual contact while spreading its hood in a defensive display. The king cobra's most scientifically notable behavior is one that is rare among snakes and essentially unique among venomous species. It builds a nest. Female king cobras construct a nest from leaves and other plant material, scraping debris into a mound using their body coils, and then lay their eggs within the nest. The female remains coiled at or near the nest, guarding it against intruders, for the entire incubation period of approximately 60 to 90 days. This sustained nest guarding behavior, which involves the female remaining in one location, foregoing food and actively defending the nest, represents a level of parental investment genuinely unusual in a venomous snake, and has been observed to include aggressive defense even against large mammalian intruders. The king cobra also produces a distinctive vocalization unlike most snakes. While most snakes hiss, the king cobra produces a deep, resonant growl, generated by modified tracheal sacs that produce a lower frequency sound than a typical snake hiss. This distinctive sound carries through dense forest and serves as an effective warning to large animals. The conservation situations of the king cobra and the Indian cobra reflect their very different relationships with human-modified environments. The Indian cobra, despite being one of the most persecuted venomous snakes in the world, killed on sight by people who rightly fear its bite, remains abundant across most of its range. Its dietary generalism, its tolerance of agricultural and suburban habitats, and its broad distribution across the Indian subcontinent give it considerable resilience to human pressure. It is listed as least concern on the IUCN Red List, though large numbers are killed annually through deliberate persecution and road mortality. The king cobra faces a considerably more precarious conservation situation. It is listed as vulnerable on the IUCN Red List, and its populations are declining across much of its range due to habitat loss, persecution, and the capture of wild individuals for the live animal trade and traditional medicine. Unlike the Indian cobra, the king cobra cannot adapt to human-modified landscapes. It requires intact or near-intact forest with abundant prey snake populations. As Southeast Asian and South Asian forests continue to be cleared for agriculture, timber, and development, the king cobra loses both its habitat and its food source simultaneously. The king cobra also suffers from a cultural paradox. It is revered in Hindu tradition as a sacred symbol closely associated with the god Shiva, who is depicted wearing a cobra around his neck, yet killed on sight in many communities where it is considered too dangerous to allow near human habitation. Anti-venom for king cobra bites is less widely available than for the Indian cobra, making encounters with this species particularly dangerous in remote forest communities. So, what is the real difference between a king cobra and an Indian cobra? At the taxonomic level, the difference is fundamental. The king cobra is not a true cobra at all. It belongs to its own unique genus, Ophiophagus, separated from the Indian cobra's genus, Naja, by millions of years of independent evolution. At the physical level, the king cobra is the world's longest venomous snake, capable of raising its head to human eye level, while the Indian cobra is smaller with the iconic spectacle marking on its hood. At the dietary level, the Indian cobra eats rodents and frogs. The king cobra eats snakes, a unique dietary specialization that has shaped every aspect of its ecology and behavior. At the medical level, the Indian cobra kills far more people annually than the king cobra, not because it is inherently more dangerous, but because it lives among people in vast numbers across one of the most densely populated regions on Earth. And at the behavioral level, the king cobra builds a nest, guards its eggs, growls like no other snake, and pursues other venomous snakes through dense forest. A creature of genuinely unusual complexity for a reptile. Both are extraordinary products of evolution. Both command respect, and both remind us that the natural world continues to produce animals of a complexity and capability that we are still only beginning to understand. Thank you for watching.